What's happening, everybody? What is up? Oh. If you're in the chat, let me know and say hi. Whew. Evening, fellas. Evening, Miles. Nice to see you, man. GTR's in here as well. Nice to see you, mate. Bear with me a little bit. We'll have a few more guys come in here. Matt is here. Hello, Matt. Nice to see you, mate. Like the first time he's been seen on YouTube in about 17 years. Hope you guys are doing all right. Hope you guys are having a lovely weekend. Probably going to be here till 10 o'clock, most likely. I promised I'd let you guys go off and watch the Formula E race in peace. So I thought it's only fair that I'd stick around for the next few hours and just chew the fat with you guys more than anything else. And speaking of fat, I've got some ice cream here. Chances are I'll probably go through the entire tub tonight, and I'm going to be just like fire crotch when I'm back at work tomorrow morning. Matt had to come back one day. Ain't that a thing? Hi, Dwayne. Nice to see you. Thing you are most excited for outside of the new aero kit in IndyCar 2018? It's going to be a very interesting grid next year. Let's put it that way. I mean, the thing is that the elite runners in IndyCar are a lot smaller. We had 4 Penske's last year. We've only got 3 this year that's running full time. There's 2 Chip Ganassi cars when there was 4 last year. I know that Kimball and Chilton weren't the highest of hitters, but they were still solid in IndyCar in their own right. On top of that, you know, Andretti, I mean, I don't expect amazing things out of Zach Veach straight away. But, like, they're smaller elite runners than there were in previous years, which opens up the door for potentially a lot of varying results. I mean, who had Sebastian Bourdais leading the championship till the month of May, you know? Or even James Hinchcliffe being right in the mix in the early going as well. Like, there is a very good possibility of an even bigger merry-go-round this year, which would be great. Jason Poland, nice to see you, man. I do hope Carden will settle in nicely, though. I will say, though, if you want more previews, our IndyCar season preview will be up next week, definitely. And as a small surprise, we have new guests for that season preview as well. So you can look forward to that. I see you got a Rom jersey. I do have a Rom jersey. Like, my United Wall of Fame is coming together quite nicely. Like, Lukaku as lead degenerate got my favorite. I love the grey kit they got this year with the Manchester backdrop on the back. So I thought I've got to put Lukaku on that because people didn't like that kit for the most part. So I thought, I love it. I'm getting like the most polarizing new signing to be on the back. I'm saving Sanchez for my home kit next year, most likely. But yeah, I love the Wall of Fame. It's an ever-growing thing. Answer that one there for you, Jason. Yeah, that's probably my next shirt. I don't think I'm going to get anything else until next season now. Maybe a Griezmann Barcelona shirt if he ends up going over there as well, because I'm a big Antoine Griezmann fan, despite his idiotic blackface taunt from earlier this year, or last year, I should say. I did get Mkhitaryan this season. He's on my black one. He's in the cupboard. I haven't got enough bedroom space to get them all out. I've got the 4 on my back wall, and I've got my Adriano one by my TV because I used to love him when he was at Inter. He's in front of my TV. That's about all I can really be fit in here. I'm running out of floor space in here quite rapidly. It's problematic. It's a good problem to have, but yeah. Hi Josh. Hi Alan. Joe Ellis. I just got in. Who's on pole in Formula E? It's Felix Rosenquist. Felix is on pole. Antonio Felix da Costa second, I believe, on the front row. Controversy over that one because Lucas Di Grassi has to take a 10-second time penalty in the race because he couldn't take all 10 of his grid positions. So that's going to be fun. Which I hope you guys are doing good. So, yeah, let's dress up as a black basketball player on Halloween. What could possibly go wrong? You tell him, Jason. You tell him. Also, bear with me a little bit as well. I've got the darts on in the background as well. Seeing the man, the myth, the legend, John Part on TV again, going on a run is quite nice. Problem is he's facing Mervyn King in this round. That's going to be problematic. Hi, Noel. Nice to see you, man. Hi, Kelly. Nice to see you. God, like 15 of you watching me eat ice cream. Like, I have truly made it on the internet, people. What did I think of last week's Top Gear? I thought it was good. I don't think it was great. I think it was on my scale of rating Grand Tour episodes like I did on the website this season, it was about a 7.5 out of 10, maybe on a good day an 8 sort of episode. I think it was good. I think the main segment was pretty good overall. Like Top Gear's jokes still aren't quite landing, and I don't think the chemistry between the three is quite there yet. It's only going to get better as time goes on. And I said it before, I think Rory Reid is an absolute showstopper. I think he's the best host of the three, and I think he's clearly the most comfortable being on TV in a role like this. I think Harris and LeBlanc have still got a little bit of work to do, but Rory Reid, I think, is a star in the making, quite frankly. Like, he's got such great charisma. I would drop the celebrity segment altogether, to be honest, because I think they're I'll give the Grand Tour this for this season. Celebrity Face Off was legitimately really good this year. Like, Clarkson is a much more natural interview because he used to have his own chat show. Like, the interviews he did on the Grand Tour was really good this year. Like, I was stunned at how good Celebrity Face Off was. Like, if you actually listened, a lot of the interviews are legitimately quite funny. And some of the personalities on the show, like Dynamo, Penn and Teller, Anthony Joshua. Bill Goldberg was amazing on there at one point. Like Top Gear's interviews, like they had Rob Brydon on there for episode 1, and it was just a bit clunky, really. And I don't think it works with them on there. I think that would make the shows better if you just got rid of that segment altogether, because it just feels more like plugs for whatever celebrity's got going on at the moment, basically. But overall, I thought it was a good episode, and I think, again, I think it's only going to get better. I just think it's really nice that we've got 2 quality car shows on TV. It's a good time. A friendly video hiatus dragon. Hi, Matt. Ice cream. Sorry, Josh, I missed that. Yeah, Häagen-Dazs cookies and cream. Very good. My personal favorite, to be honest with you, of all the ice creams available in a British fridge. I love Häagen-Dazs cookies and cream. I could demolish like 2 of these. Yeah, they are still doing the reasonably fast car awkwardness. I like it's really like it's not bad. It's just none of them are natural interviewers. None of them are really like they've not got that journalistic background that Clarkson, Hammond, and May had, because they were all journalists and they were all like TV presenters before that. Well, not TV presenters per se, but like people forget Clarkson was on old Top Gear. I think James May was on the old Top Gear towards the end of its run as well. So they've all got that broadcasting experience. They've all got that journalistic experience of interviewing guys and getting the best out of guests. Those 3 haven't got that formula. Like, mostly it's just Chris Harris making awkward jokes in the background. And, you know, Rory's just kind of there. And LeBlanc is not an interviewer. He just isn't. He's a method actor. But, you know, it is what it is. It is expensive. It is expensive, Matt, the ice cream, but it's well worth paying for, my friend. After this week, I never want to see snow ever again. I don't blame you. I know you've been pretty sick, Kelly. I hope you're on the mend. See, the thing was, I said it on Twitter, like, Grand Tour Season 2 overall was actually pretty good. Way better than the first series. However, I openly admit, Grand Tour Season 2 finale, Feed the World, was shit. It was easily the worst episode they've done of the Grand Tour so far. It was worse than anything in Season 1. Like, to the point where I was actually, like, legitimately offended towards the end of watching that. Like, just how stupid the whole clip was. I didn't write a blog about it, but I still might at some point. I would actually like to explain in about 1,000 words just how stupid that last episode was. Hi, Evan. Hi, Josh. Nice to see you, man. The uni for me because snow for the last 3 days and bored out. God, so they've closed uni as well for 3 days. Like, you get 3 inches of snow in this damn country and the whole thing just grinds to a halt. Where's the grit, people? Get some grit on the fucking roads. That'll save everything. Like, anything more than 3 inches of snow in London and the whole city just grinds to a complete standstill. It's hilarious. Which is funny because, like, most of our snow in London melted last night. It's just been replaced by more rain. Because it's gotten a bit warmer out there now. It wasn't quite. We didn't get as many as 7 inches in London, but it doesn't take much to put the whole country out of kaboot. Hi, Tom. But you know, you guys are there. If you want to ask me some questions, feel free. Sheriff asking me Vettel's title chances. We're not doing this, people. We're not doing the Vettel hype train this year. Listen, I know people have said to me that I'm not optimistic enough. I don't do optimism when Lewis Hamilton is on this kind of form, okay? Like, Lewis looks like he's on another level. He just does. Like, I would love it to play out similarly to last year, but without the bad luck that Vettel had towards the end of the year. Because I thought we were inching towards a real, like, all-time great dogfight between Hamilton and Vettel. Problem was, obviously, the Singapore and then Japan happened, and then it was all over, essentially. Just Ferrari just shit the bed at the worst possible time, and that was it, pretty much. It was like the most disappointing 5-win season Seb's ever had. Like, he won 5 times, more than anyone ever has. He beat a Mercedes, which no one has done in the hybrid era to this point, and yet it still felt like we were a million miles away from winning the championship. It's really weird how it all turned out in the end. He's worried I'll make a video highlight for his optimism. Oh, geez. Don't even go there, nor wait till Vettel wins 2 races. It's not happening, Matt. I swear to you, it's not going to happen. I don't know why you guys want me to experience more pain. Why do you guys not like me so much? God, there's 20 of you in here. Holy shit. Miles asking me, who finishes higher, McLaren or Renault? I think Renault. I think Renault look quick. I was surprised. Like, that was the biggest surprise for me out of testing, that Renault looked like they could run fairly well. I mean, okay, it's the first test. It probably wasn't representative, mostly because the temperatures are nowhere near as low as that for a normal race weekend. So we didn't really get a true idea about race pace and things like that. But I did see that, you know, Hulkenberg looked very fast out there. Definitely one to keep an eye on, for sure. I didn't like McLaren set a lot of their faster times on ridiculously soft compound tires anyway. So, you know. But, now McLaren, like Mercedes won't clean sweep Jason. No way. Like, they gave up 7 wins last year. That was the most they've given up by a mile. You did took me a thing, Jason. Like, I'm not going to get a second Black United kit this year. I've already got my Mkhitaryan one. I'll keep it. Because I had a soft spot. I always liked Mkhitaryan. I always did. I had a few soft spot for him. I'm kind of gutted it never worked out, and I wish him the best at Arsenal. Because I thought he was a really likable guy, did a lot for charity. Came across like a class act the whole way through. And he hit like Mourinho's style of management didn't suit him. And that's okay. It's not for everybody. Like, I think Mkhitaryan's the kind of player that needs to be encouraged rather than put in the corner. Maybe it'll work out better at Arsenal once they get rid of Wenger, which they probably will at the end of the season. They'd be fools if they didn't. Got a feeling Sainz will destroy Hulkenberg this season. I got a lot of questions regarding Renault. It would be the most Renault thing possible if Carlos Sainz fluked a race win and Hulkenberg still wouldn't get on the podium. See, this is the thing. I really like Carlos Sainz. I think Carlos Sainz is a fantastic driver. I am not convinced he's going to rout Hulkenberg. I think Hulkenberg is a bit better than what we've given him credit for, and I think Hulkenberg is going to be a really good test to see how good Carlos Sainz really is. Like, no disrespect, but he didn't have a competent teammate last year. Daniil Kvyat was mentally broken by the looks of it. And I think they were about equal in the short time Carlos was in the car together with them at Renault last year. But, you know, we rag on Hulkenberg because people either think he's really, really great or that he's overrated. There's no middle ground on Hulkenberg, and I'm somewhere on the upper side of that coin. But I think Hulkenberg is a very good driver that's just never really had luck go on his side. JCL says he's overrated. There you go. I think it'll be close between them. I really do. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a really good test for Carlos. If Carlos routs Hulkenberg, then he really is like a top 6 driver in the field and should be in a top 3 car, without question. I think he's pretty much there anyway. But if he really does a number on Hulkenberg, then okay. Like, there is no doubt in my mind that Carlos Sainz is a borderline elite level dude. The problem is the way to the top right now is really blocked. Like, that's problematic. Like, Ferrari right now, like, as long as Vettel wants to keep Raikkonen there, and as long as Raikkonen wants to keep driving, he'll be there. Merckx could drop Valtteri Bottas if he's bad again this year, but I don't think Val was that bad. Val did what he needed to do. He got 300 points and he got them the constructors. All he needed to do really was beat Raikkonen, and he did comprehensively. So, if anything, they got along better because Val wasn't a direct threat to Lewis at any point throughout the season. And Red Bull, well, we know they have any high from within their own anyway. And, you know, they've got Pierre Gasly as a potential replacement, but I don't think any of their drivers are going anywhere just yet. The Ricciardo Verstappen bromance, I think, will be one of the things to look out for this year. Not much, Jay. Didn't miss much, mate. Good to see you. Kvyat ambushed their commenter in the pack of the 500. Wrestling booking makes motorsport so much better. I think Perez gets plenty of credit for the podiums he got at Force India and Sauber. No, I completely agree, Miles. They've got to drop Raikkonen if they ever want to win a constructors. Raikkonen needs to be scoring at least 270 points. And this was Raikkonen's best year in the hybrids, and he had like 200, I think it was. He's not scoring enough. He needs to be putting up something like 300 to realistically give Vettel a sporting chance to lead the team and win the constructors. Because that's the thing. Even Val, even though he was kind of good to mediocre, depending on how you rate him as a driver last year, he scored 300 plus points. That's what you need to do to win a constructors. Lewis will get his 360 because Lewis can win almost any given race on paper. Like, you need a great second scorer, and at absolute worst, Nico Rosberg was a fantastic secondary scorer who, hey, took it to the title finale on three separate occasions, winning one of them. Like, Val is not that, but Raikkonen is nowhere near that. So if Ferrari want to be thinking constructors, then Raikkonen's got to go, quite frankly. It doesn't matter how happy Seb is. Kimi probably should have hung it up about 3 years ago, but like 2014, he was embarrassed by Fernando Alonso. And he probably should have hung it up at that point in time, but he's still around. How is Ericsson still in F1? Ericsson is okay. That's the reason why. He's well funded. He's not an offensive driver. He's okay. He's not spectacular, but he doesn't make very many mistakes. And he's just a good he's a good defensive driver as well, actually. He's quite hard to overtake in similarly paced cars. He's okay, and he's well funded, and that's half the battle. Like, he's not worth dropping all that money for a freak talent. That's why Pascal Wehrlein missed out. Wehrlein is a great talent, but he's not funded. So Kim was working on a book, huh? Makes sense. That really could be his last year, and if he's working on a book, that's a big sign. Who would I replace him with? In a perfect world, probably Sergio Perez or Carlos Sainz Jr. I think Sergio Perez is a great talent, always has been a great driver. Esteban Ocon, you couldn't go wrong with that, but he's destined for Mercs, I think, one way or another. If they could talk Carlos Sainz into it, I think Carlos Sainz Jr. would be a great candidate as a fellow Spaniard to get in that Ferrari seat. Bring some of those Alonso fans over. Even Hulkenberg wouldn't really be a bad shout. I really think he'd be good, but there's just better options. I think he'll be great, but I think the jury is still out on Charles Leclerc. Hi, Luke. God, John Potts did a double 19 and a 118 outshot to go 8-7 up on Mervyn King. Come on, John Pott. Let's go, North Maple. Yeah, I think Charles is a bit early on that. Yeah. I mean, he should have gone to McLaren in 2013. I think Hulkenberg was really good at that point. Completely agree with you there. Like, Grosjean really is only that good when the car is good. If it's not, then he'll complain about it. I call Grosjean baseline because he's like the baseline guy in F1, really. Joe, to answer your question, yeah, like the Sky, like unless something happens, I don't think we're going to be getting F1 TV here until at least 2024. Because then F1 is not going to try and directly take money out of Sky's pockets. It's pointless. They'd be competing against themselves. It'd be dumb. Just let Sky do what they're doing. Also, I love that the Americans got so hyped about ESPN having an F1 deal until they just realized, oh, wait, it's just going to be the Sky coverage again. That I thought was quite funny. Williams situation, yay or nay, says Jason. Leaning towards yay. I mean, it is a weird blend. I mean, Sorokin is a better driver than the internet gives him credit for, but because he's Russian and well funded, like, people were just shitting on him, and I think that's just kind of dumb. Lance Stroll was okay last year as a rookie. He'll only get better, I don't think. So I think it's an okay situation, but, you know, it's just like Williams is just a walking reminder that money is tight in this sport, and they have to hire certain people to stay happy. That's how it's going to be, unfortunately. You know, they have to bend to sponsors and sponsor money, and if it can happen to a team like Williams, it can happen to anybody in the midfield, quite frankly. Daniel Ricciardo at Mercedes, yeah, I'd love to see that. Like that team, like the amount of marketing money you could pull with Hamilton and Ricciardo in the same team would be ridiculous, because Ricciardo is so likable and so well liked by F1 fans on the internet. Like him in a Mercedes and him against Lewis Hamilton, that would be fireworks, because I think Daniel Ricciardo is a fantastic driver. Like he is in that, like for me, like in F1 terms, there's a tier list. Hamilton and Vettel are the big two by a mile. And then I think Ricciardo, you can put Ricciardo, Verstappen, Bottas, and Alonso in that second tier. Like, Ricciardo is excellent. As Miles says, though, it would be great until there'd be one sort of accident, though, and then it would all go tits up with those two, for sure. You think Alonso belongs in tier 1? There's a case you can make, but like, if Alonso being out of top machinery for so long, I find it hard to go up there with him. Like, because it's been like 5 years since he was in a competitive car. That's the problem. Like the yardstick has faded. Like, I'd love to see him in a top tier car again, so we could see just how fast he really is compared to everybody else. Like, the Indy 500 performance kind of shows that, yeah, he probably still is really great, but when you've been out of the top tier for so long and it's still a car-based sport rather than a driver-based sport, I find it hard to go up there. Like, Alonso's political nature is what's held him back most of the time. I know the comparisons have been done, but Lewis and Seb really are the Messi and Ronaldo of the sport. They absolutely are. Ryan King saying, yeah, quick circle back to F1 TV in the UK. Based on last year figures, 1 in 10 people that watch F1 are British. The TV rights are more important there. Yeah, absolutely makes sense. But Sky's got the exclusive rights to that now until 2025. So, yay. Great. More Simon Lazenby. KSI versus Logan Paul. Who will win? Their bank accountants. That's all I will say on that one. Says, hello, everyone. Is that Dre live streaming? I see it is, Cameron. Nice to see you, man. I'm eating a cookies and cream Häagen-Dazs, JCR. Do I think Alonso will get his third championship? Probably not. Alonso's probably left it too late, because every big factory team has now got their own young driver they can plug in the seat whenever they feel like it. Merckx has Esteban Ocon. Ferrari's got Charles Leclerc. Renault's now got Carlos Sainz in play, potentially as well down the road. Red Bull still has Max Verstappen. Like, if you're a team thinking of the future, you know, Why would you take Alonso over those guys? The guy that could retire at any moment, given he's in his mid-30s and whatnot. Also, John Potter just beat Mervyn King to get to round 5. Go on, Darth Maple! 7 more years of Just Drive. If IndyCar wants to appeal to a younger audience, we need KSI to take on Joseph Newgarden. I got a K on Newgarden winning by KO. Yes, sir. Yeah, Lando Norris is in there in F2 with Carlin, Evan. Yeah, I do think they're going to get to that problem soon, Mars. I think Fernando Alonso is going to end up holding up Lando Norris. Like, Lando is a stud by all accounts. He looks like he's going to be a really great driver going forward. But do you just, like, imagine the scene. Like, it's a year and a half's time. Lando is a top-tier Formula 2 guy, which I think is very likely. Do you drop the then 26-year-old Stoffel Van Dorn, who you had to wait so long to get into a car in the first place? Or are you basically trying to push Fernando out of the door? It's a lose-lose situation. You can't really win with that one, because I think Stoffel is also great. I just think Stoffel is, you know, going to be caught between a rock and a hard place soon. No, not the Stoffel waffle. Yeah, you can't force that, Nando. I mean, McLaren made their bed building their team around Fernando Alonso. They've got to lay in it now. So we're going to get the K-Mag treatment. That could very well happen. It could very well happen, Miles. Also, a point that Josh has made in the chat there at Shy Guy 306. It could also come down to just how badly Alonso wants that Triple Crown. Does he really want to try that hard to win the Indy 500 and Le Mans? It could come down to that as well. So, you know, no matter which way you slice it, he's got avenues. I agree, Miles. I think being a 3-time world champion is a bigger deal than winning the Triple Crown. Nobody talked about the Triple Crown in modern day motorsport until Fernando went to the Indy 500. MotoGP season thoughts. There's not much to say with MotoGP right now. It's all governed by the form book. Like, Marquez signing on for 2 more years was no surprise at all. He's not bored of winning yet, and the Honda is good enough to help to win him a title easily. So why would he go anywhere else? Maverick Vinales sticking around for another 2 years. Again, no surprises there. Rossi's extension's not been confirmed yet, but he dropped a big hint saying that he's not thinking about running a team until at least 2021, which means he's probably going to sign another 2-year extension. So Rossi is going to be a MotoGP rider until he's at least 41 years old. Man's incredible. I've got to salute the old bastard on that one. So, you know, Yamaha is more or less confirmed. Honda, like Marquez, is confirmed. I think they'll announce Pedrosa later, but I don't see any reason why they wouldn't keep Danny P for at least another 2 years because he's still an excellent cleanup man. I heard talk yesterday that Suzuki apparently are working very hard to tie down Alex Rins. So Rins is like he's going to be with Suzuki for another couple of years by the looks of it. The big one so far is Tech 3 and them leaving Yamaha, and it's becoming alarmingly obvious they're going to be running KTMs next year. Now, that could make it more interesting because if you look at Tech 3 and you look at KTM, depending on how Hafiz Syrin works out, if they don't bring back Jonas Volger, if his illness doesn't recover, they have options. They could keep Syrin, depending on how good he is. Will they be able to retain Johan Zarco? Who knows? Because Zarco looks like he's going to be a monster. They're probably going to lose the Monster sponsorship overall as well, which is big for them. But they're going to probably switch on to Red Bull because they've got KTM money back there in Austria. And they have an absolutely stacked Moto2 team. Miguel Oliveira and Brad Binder are 2 incredibly good names. They are, like, I think Oliveira is the bookie's favorite to win the Moto2 title this year. Like, I keep an eye on Miguel Oliveira. The guy is a stud. I think he will win 4 or 5 times next year. Keep an eye on him. Like, really. Trust me on this. Binder as well is very fast. They could still even go out of left field and say maybe give Mika Kallio another chance because he's done such a good job for them in wildcard appearances. So I think a lot of this is going to circle around what Tech 3 do and what KTM are going to do next year. Apparently Suzuki want to have a satellite team as well. I've heard rumblings about that. I don't think that's going to happen because Suzuki don't like having a satellite team. That's about it for now. Woo, Tech 3 KTM. Because I know King's a big KTM guy. It's like, to be fair, like, you make a good point there, Mars. I mean, is it time for Valley to go? I say he's right on the line. Like, he was a little bit worse off than Maverick last year. Only won the 1 race, missed 2 races because of a broken leg. I don't know. Like, it looks, I think, like Yamaha's problems are more to do with their bike than their lineup. I think if you give Rossi a competitive machine, he'll find a way to make it work. But he's not getting any younger either. That's also part of the problem. Especially given that the top class is so stacked right now, you're going to end up seeing more of Marquez, of Lorenzo, and yeah, Ducati is going to be seeing more from Dovi soon as well. Because this is Dovi's like first year as a real title contender, where he actually looks like a title contender right from the get-go. That's going to be interesting as well. I think that's about everything from MotoGP that I can think of at the moment. If you haven't already heard it as well, Bike Live went live about an hour and a bit ago, talking about World Superbikes, which was very, very fun indeed from Phillip Island, and talking about the MotoGP test in Thailand as well. So check it out if you haven't already. Me and Lewis on that one. Very fun 2 hours to sit down and chew the fat about a ridiculously crazy World Superbikes weekend at Phillip Island with Marco Melandri. Remember him winning both races? Gareth Bale's just scored. Nice. How many on-track overtakes will there be in Melbourne? I'm setting the over-under to like 4 on that one. I wouldn't hold out much hope for that one, mate. Single figures after lap 1, defo. So how long for Dre to get back on the Ferrari? It's not happening, Cam. What do you people take me for? You have no faith in me. I am off the narcotic. Give it until Montreal. For God's sake. Whew. We all know it will happen. Shut up, Cam. Thoughts on Honda and Toro Rosso? Looks solid so far. You know, it kind of makes you wonder if some of the problems were McLaren themselves and not just Honda. Evan, Verstappen was 500 to 1 to win every single race last year. This year, he's 500 to 1 to win every single race. But it wouldn't surprise me if this was the year that Honda finally sorted it out. So, my ice cream's done already. Damn. Beautiful. But yeah, it looks like Honda. It looks like they're ahead of the curve. I mean, Pierre Gasly did more laps in testing than anybody else. Signs are promising out of that camp, but you have to say, and good for them. You know, good for them. They look great. The pace not quite there yet, but the reliability. You know, you didn't see at all any problems. Apparently, they fired up the engine a day early. So props to Honda. If they were McLaren making them look worse than they actually were? Maybe, I don't know. Because I'll tell you what, I think McLaren Renault. I said earlier, I think McLaren Renault was a bit of a catfish. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But wouldn't surprise me. Look, listen. I don't think a brand and an engine builder like I don't think a brand like Honda and an engine supplier like Honda are truly going to be that terrible forever. You know, at least that's my opinion. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we call forth the Snapple-related part of the evening. We have a mango Snapple, my favourite, personally. Unfortunately, it's rumored that the Honda in the back of the STR is a modded 2017 unit, not the 2018 engine. Oh no. I don't think Honda would deliberately be bad for McLaren. I just don't think McLaren are as good as they say they are. Like before Honda, they were dining on reputation by the looks of it. So read into that what you can, I suppose. Oh, so good. The mango is so good. In before more cheeky screen caps. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. It's the internet after all. Want to try and predict the Indy 500 3 months early? Oh God. That is such a crapshoot. Would probably lean towards Honda because they're really good at the super speedways. I think Alex Rossi will be a contender. I think Graham Rahal will be up there. Wouldn't surprise me if Scott Dixon's up there again because Dixon always seems to go well at the 500. He seems to have a really fast car every year. Just has not been able to put together a complete 500 since he won it. I think in 2006. Wouldn't surprise me if Kanan's up there as well, but he's now driving for Foyt, so could be a bit dodgy. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, yeah, Miles is spot on about McLaren and their aero. Like, it's always been dodgy, to say the least. But they've always said if we had an engine, we'd be so good. Our aero is really good. We nabbed like guys from Red Bull. I've always said this. Right? McLaren need to be aiming for podiums this year, otherwise the switch was a waste of time. They claim their aero is on Red Bull's level, so let's prove it. You've got the same power unit as them now. You really haven't got an excuse. If they're any place outside of the top 6, then it was a failure. Like, so we'll have to wait and see how it goes, but I'm not holding out a lot of confidence here. For McLaren Renault. Also, keeping half an eye on the darts. Oh my God, Paul Hogan is 2 legs up on Gerwyn Price. Come on, Paul Hogan. He always comes alive for the UK Open. It's amazing. Hi, Richard. Hope you're doing all right, mate. Oh, shit. Sorry to cut me. I'm just going to peer to the darts for 1 second because going for 6 perfect darts here. Give me a sec. Yes, treble 19. Yes, double 12 for a 9-darter. Oh, just shy on the 9-darter. Unlucky. Need the 9-darter on TV, damn it. But yeah, so who would have thought 10 years ago when it was McLaren Mercedes that they would be so shit 10 years later and now have a Renault power unit? It's always been weird, that, to be honest. But that's McLaren for you. I'm going to be honest. I've not actually played a lot of GT Sport Ladies. I've not actually played it with the new updates yet. I will get around to it soon. I've not been very motivated to play a lot of games at the moment. I'll get back to you on that one, Kuba. They've still not opened the doors up, Joe. So there's like basically like a couple hundred people there. They're not doing walk-ons or anything like that. It is weird watching darts without the fans there because like the atmosphere is darts, so it's still kind of weird. Yeah, but it is what it is, man. But yeah, some more questions is fine, guys. Keep them going. He did, Joe. Like he did. Like Dimitri Van den Bergh, there was no fans there basically, and he still danced on the stage. I love that kid. He's great. New favorite player. I've not seen that new mobile one, the Grids video on Billy Monger. Not the biggest Billy Monger fan, to be honest, Jack, but I might check it out. Richard saying predictions for Mexico City E-Prix tonight. Probably Carnage because it's Mexico City. Mahindra's looked solid all weekend long. It wouldn't surprise me if Felix just leads from the front and goes on to take it. I think Azaire's podium prediction of Rosenquist, Verne, Buemi is a very fair shout. That could very well happen. Going to be watching NASCAR in Vegas. I'm not a NASCAR regular, Josh, to be honest with you. Sorry about that. How many disqualifications? At least 16, Evan. Yeah, the Mexico E-Prix circuit is very fast. It's basically an oval. It's like a mini version of the Grand Prix layout. To the Audis. Oh, opinion on Project Cars 2. I played it a little bit. Wasn't a big fan. But it's not my sort of game. I'm not a sim racer. I think if you had a proper wheel setup and you had a proper sim racing setup, you'd probably get more out of it than I could. It's not for pad players. It just isn't. It's playable on pad. I'll say that much, but not for someone at my intermediate skill level, basically. I'll have to wait and see. But yeah, not for me per se. How insufferable will Twitter be during the Australian GP given the Halo backlash? Yes, definitely. It's going to be awful. It's going to be fucking shit because a lot of F1 fans don't even bother watching testing. So when they actually see him on TV for the first time properly, they'll be like, "Well, what's that fucking cage doing there?" So it's gonna be fucking stupid. I mean, whatever your opinion on the head, whether it needs to be there or not, we all need to just sit down and get on with it. We as motorsport fans, we will inevitably sucker this up and we'll keep going because that's what we do as motorsport fans. We're masochists. We sit through the worst of it and then we keep going. That's what we do. So we will do that. I'm already used to it. I'm fine with the Halo. I call me semantic, right? But if it saves one life, for me, it's worth it. Because I don't ever okay, the Halo would not have saved him, but I don't want another Jules Bianchi where we're mourning the loss of a driver in motorsport ever again, a Formula One driver ever again. I remember Hungary 2015 and the helmets being circled in tribute on the front of the grid, and it broke my heart. I cried during his funeral. I couldn't bear it seeing some of his colleagues carrying the coffin. Like I said, the Halo would not have saved him. I'm not denying that from a minute. It was a ridiculous and horrendous freak accident, but for me, if it saves one life, it's worth it. And I think it probably could have saved Justin Wilson over in IndyCar when Sage Karam's car hit him in the face. And it could have easily saved someone like Henry Surtees as well. But unfortunately, we're dealing with a sport where people will deal with aesthetics and want aesthetics to take priority over safety, for better or worse. Whatever your opinion is on that, that's how they tend to be. They will always go with that over safety. This sport is often enshrined with beauty, often, talked about in the circles of, oh, the cars are really nice looking and whatnot. So, of course, when something like a roll cage is over the front of the car, of course it's going to kick up a stink. But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I agree, Joe. Like, I don't notice the halo. I've already just gotten used to it already. Yeah, I'm used to it now as well, Kelly. Halo pitching reminds me of what was that. Yeah, surrounding VAR. It's the same deal with football in VAR. I mean, listen, I'm an American football fan. I watch the NFL, and an NFL game takes about 3 hours to get through. I'd be a hypocrite to say that, oh, you'll ruin the flow of the game by watching a football game if it takes them a minute to decide if it's a goal or if it's an offside or something like that. Like, and I watch the NFL on a regular basis that takes 3 hours and is loaded full of commercials and shit. So you know, it is what it is. I think the VAR system needs a bit of refinement, but at its core principle, I like it. I would rather get those 2% of ambiguous decisions fixed. And I don't mind if a football game takes 5 to 10 minutes longer to resolve for that to happen. I'm okay with that. Me personally, I would like to see it used more like the NFL or like a Hawkeye system where only a manager can challenge a decision, and you only get maybe 2 or 3 a game. But I think overall, I like it. The problem is that it's still not being used correctly like it was in the Tottenham Rochdale game earlier this week, where we saw, you know, Heung-min Son have a penalty disallowed when it shouldn't have been. You know, so it gets messy. Nice 160 from Gerwyn Price to make it 4-4 in his game against Paul Hogan, by the way. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, Joe. I see where you're coming from. I was saying it will never work. I don't think it will never work. I think, like, it's the sort of situation, right, where, yeah, okay, like, a lot of it is subjective based on the human opinions of referees, but then we bitch and complain about the standard of refereeing on a constant basis. So my attitude is this: if you're against VAR, then that's fine. You're going to have to accept that there is going to be a level of human error and gamesmanship in football. And if you're okay with that, then fine. That's not a problem. I personally am of the belief that, you know, if we get more of these ambiguous calls ironed out, then I don't see a problem with it personally. I just think British sports fans are snobbish towards UCT. Yeah, I think you're right there, Miles. I definitely think it is a cultural thing as well, where us Brits, we don't like tech. Like, I think computers scares us in the UK, where it's like there's like a level of purity that I think that comes with football as a sport where people don't want to touch it. Where it's like football's the working man's game, and like, for example, football will never get rid of playing multiple games over Christmas, but then act surprised when all the players are exhausted towards April and May and they don't perform in international tournaments because they've already shattered from playing a 60-game calendar season. See what I mean? But fans will say that you can't get rid of the Christmas games. That's tradition. Same deal with VAR, I think, to a degree. We don't like tech. It scares people, and we like the purity of the game how it is. So if anything comes in to upset that, or like the use of tech in general, then people are going to complain about it. So, it is what it is. Whew. Just checking my Twitter real quick. Oh, good question from MSGCR. Who do you think are the best managers in the Premier League? It's a hard one because it's like it's hard to score on a pound-for-pound basis because guys like Jose Mourinho on paper are great, but at the same time, they've got a ridiculous amount of resources to help them at their job. Pep, for example. Like, sure, he's a great manager and he's won shit with other clubs, but Man City's spent £600 million in the last 3 years. Like, not very many clubs can brag that. So, just how good is Pep really? Like Pep having a ridiculous amount of offensive firepower is absolutely a helping hand in that. So, how much of it is down to the club and how much of it is down to the coach? Look, you've got to put Pep and Jose in there. I think Jurgen Klopp is a little bit overrated. I think Pochettino is a very good manager. And I think Sean Dyche at Burnley deserves a lot of credit for overachieving with that team. Got to down the Snapple as well. Holy shit. I'm drinking a lot today. Yeah, Dyche, Poch, Pep, Jose. Yeah. Eddie Howe's not bad. Thing is, I don't quite warm to Eddie Howe like others do because Bournemouth was another club that was bankrolled as it shot its way through the tiers. People made out like Bournemouth was this amazing story, but Bournemouth was bankrolled by rich ownership all the way up the tiers. So, I'm a little bit with Bournemouth, but they have good players there, and they play. I like how Bournemouth play football. I enjoy watching them when they're on Sky. I think they're an enjoyable team. They're an exciting team to watch. So, Howe's entertaining at least, Let's put it to you this way. You look at the Premier League table, you look at Sean Dyche, and you look where all the other English coaches are. Dyche pisses on them. Well, all of them besides maybe, Big Sam, because Everton seemed to dig their way out of a hole earlier. But, Burnley is punching so far above its weight. I remember they only really got relegated a couple of years ago because they had a squad that was more League One quality than it was Premier League. But, wait till Wolves are promoted. They're going to be hated for how much they spend. They did bid 30. I think it was 40 million quid they bid for Andre Silva in January, and I'm like, a championship side is bidding 40 million on a player. The game's gone mad. But anyone with half a brain cell, with like the TV rights being renewed for like $5 billion 3 years ago, all that money was going to the clubs. It was inevitable that we were going to see transfer fees spike up. I was telling people this 3 or 4 years ago, and no one listened to me. And then when I saw like Pogba go for 90 mil and Lukaku for 75 and, you know, Coutinho for 140 and Mbappe for 140, obviously Neymar for 200 mil. This is going to be football now for at least another 3 or 4 years. The bubble will burst eventually because clubs will just spend and spend and spend, and they'll run up too much debt. Like, the bubble will burst on this, but for now, it's not going to go away for at least another 6 or 7 years, I'd argue. I'm not a big DTM fan, Jack, so bear with me on that one. See, Kenny, I don't think the Prem's got too much money. It is the Premier League. It is the most watched footballing league in the world. It generates its audience from 150 plus countries. And listen, you're only worth what someone is willing to pay for you. And Sky was willing to open a can for £5 billion to get 130 games a season. So, like, is it the Premier League's fault that they put out a good product and people want to buy into it? Not really. You know, Sky, in a world where more and more networks are going to start dipping their toes into live sport and we're getting more in-house streaming services than ever before, like, the big TV networks are going to monopolize whatever they can get right now. So, you know, that's the ball game now for the Premier League. That's what it's going to be. Like, when a team like Sunderland, who was bottom of the league last year, still made like 75 million in TV money, what can you do? They're just like, they're only worth what someone's willing to pay. It is nuts, though. Like, I thought we'd see a £100 million player, but 100 million is now conservative for a top footballer. You're right. I mean, like, who had Dembele going for 100 mil? Like, Dembele was like 93 million, I think, after, you know, the currency conversion comes into play. Like, that is ridiculous. That is an obscene amount of money. You know, it's nuts, but it is what it is. All this money, and yet clubs insist on buying European or South American talent because, Joe, the Premier League's homegrown talent rule has now made it such that buying English is just poor value. Like, every Premier League squad, like all these, like, because every Premier League club has to have 8 English players in it, like, normally they'll just have like an English guy in the academy who makes up the numbers, filling up the spots. Like, then they'll save the other spots for quality players. If you have a guy who's in that English quota and he's really good, like, that's like a premium to these clubs now. Like, for example, if Dele Alli went on the transfer market tomorrow, he'd be going for 120 million. Purely because he's English and you don't have to waste a squad spot on someone young and English and probably won't make it, or as an academy player. Like, why do you think Man City used to buy players like Jack Rodwell or Scott Sinclair? They weren't buying them because they were, you know, they were quality reserve players. They were buying them because they were English and they were half decent, and they got them on discounted prices. They weren't buying them because, like, they were quality. They were buying them because they were cheap and English. It's valuable in its own right. So if the Premier League insists on having a homegrown talent rule, fine, but you're going to make English players go for more money than they deserve. I mean, for example, I'll give you an example, right? Luke Shaw went for £30 million, like, a couple of years ago to United. Chelsea spent £8 million on Cesar Azpilicueta. Now, whatever you think of Luke Shaw, Azpilicueta is one of the better players in the Premier League, and they got him for a quarter of the price. What does it tell you? There's no point in buying English. When you can get a same quality, if not better player in another league for a third of the price. You're right, Miles. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, Lukaku for 75. Like, how much did you think a really good top 3 or 4 Premier League striker who was only 23 last year going to go for? 50 mil? Like, you've got an elite striker in his prime, still at a young age with plenty of value. Of course, he was going to be 75 to 90 mil. If anything, Lukaku was a good deal in today's market. Like, I think you're right. I think Griezmann to Barca for 100 million is a steal now in today's market. We just saw Coutinho go for 140. Mbappe went for 140. And like, I think Mbappe is great, but I don't think he's the finished article yet. Far from it. And he's going for 140 million now. So, like, the market's now completely out of whack. It's a seller's market. It is. It absolutely is. Like Joanna said, you don't need to buy English. You can create from within. And we've seen Rashford, Kane, among others, that clubs often have the talent. I see where you're coming from, Joe. But the thing is, right, it's quicker if you just buy from another league. Like, when you're developing talent, that's a time-consuming process. Why not just skip the middleman and buy a decent young player in another league that's already 2 stages further along? You'll pay the discounted rate for a decent young player and give him a chance rather than going down the academy. That takes time, and that's often something that managers don't have now in the Premier League. Because in the Prem now, the logic is 1 bad year and you're gone. So is a manager really going to think, oh, let me think about the long-term plan here, right? When you're rotating managers every 2 seasons now, and then probably not going to be thinking long-term. They're going to be thinking, what can I do to keep my job at the end of the season? Like, West Brom could be going through 3 managers in a year, and that's quite rare. But we're getting to that point now where, like, Pardew's on the brink of getting sacked himself. So what can you do? It's crazy. But, you know, it is what it is. Again, like, I totally agree that we should have more money in grassroots games, more money in the academies, more money in the youth system to help promote young English talent. But the Premier Leagues and the way it's structured goes against that logic. And like, once you turn 22, it's a different ball game if you're not English. So what can you do? The Prem and the FA don't see eye to eye on the future of the game. So when it's like that, you're always going to have problems, unfortunately. Just had to set my alarm for work tomorrow. Yeah, if you think as a Crewe fan, I'm never done anything different. We build our youth players and then sell them just on to survive. We can only dream of millions about. Yeah, I mean, that's understandable, Joe, and I completely see where you're coming from. I mean, it's a different ball game when you're in the 4th tier and you're seeing clubs spend an obscene amount of money on players. And I totally see where you're coming from. And that's what a lot of clubs are now. They're selling clubs. They will nurture young talent, and when it gets to a point where they're good enough to flip, they'll sell them for a profit. Monaco was way ahead of the curve on that one. That's what Monaco was doing on a regular basis. They were just taking young talent, putting them through the academy, giving them first-team games, and just whenever they were good enough, they sold them for a profit, like they did with Anthony Martial, like they did with Benjamin Mendy, you know. And there's more that's going to come from that academy. Like Rodriguez, they bought him out of Porto and they flipped him for a profit 2 years later. Like, the difference was that Monaco was good enough to still be in the Champions League and still be able to flip young players out. So it worked out for him. Like, it's that setting club mentality, but on a larger level. That's how Monaco made it work for a few years. Oh, so the Costa Rica starting on the front row then. Oh dear. More Formula E controversy. Just checking the Twitter for a second, guys. Bear with me. Oh yeah, I completely agree, Miles. Like, yeah, United definitely has young talent like Angel Gomez, Foden, Gibbs, White, Sancho. I've seen them play; they're great talent. They are tremendous talent, but it's like it's going to be hard to on the face of it. It's going to be hard to ever imagine them being United full team regulars because they have an attitude now where, like Chelsea's, if they have a hole, they'll spend to fix it rather than giving an academy player a chance. I've hated Chelsea for that. And it's the same deal here. Yeah, just a quick clarification, by the way. Yeah, Antonio Felix da Costa will now be starting from the back of the field. Turns out his car was underweight during qualifying. The old Lucas Di Grassi problem. Oh, sorry, he's just disqualified from Superpole. He's starting 4th. My apologies. Yeah, good point, Miles. Similar situation to Germany. So, yeah, I mean, it's right around Germany, right around 2009, 2010, where they're sort of at a crossroads. Like, do you give these players a chance or do you just let them fester? And then Germany gave them opportunities, and now they've won everything you can pretty much win as a player up to this point as a result. But you know, they're at a crossroads now, England. Like, I don't think people have massive expectations for. They have massive expectations for England going into this World Cup. I think we all kind of know that, listen, we'll do well to make the quarterfinals. But we have young talent. And we have also got one of the 3 or 4 best strikers in the world now in Harry Kane. So let's see how they go from here. Like, the talent is there with England. There absolutely is. We have legitimately like some of the best under 23 talent in the world. Like, our youth teams have dominated at European and major championships, but they don't make it in the Premier League. Like, that's baffling to me. It's fucking ridiculous. Right, Ryan Sessegnon is a baller. Yeah, one you're going to see. Again, a guy that could easily be in an England team for years to come, but will he ever make it to the Premier League level? Hard to say. Joe and Kelly asking, who do I think win the World Cup? I think it'll be between France and Germany. I know that sounds really bold of me to suggest, but Germany always step it up for major tournaments. They're very, very hard to beat. And Thomas Muller always comes alive during a World Cup. He's already got 10 World Cup goals, and he's still only 27 years of age. He's got easily another one in him, at least another two, I'd say. France have got 2 quality players for almost every position. We saw at Euro 2016 that I think France probably should have gone the whole way. Griezmann was fantastic in that entire tournament. Pogba was incredible. The defense is, I'd argue, the best in the world, or certainly at centre back. Like, I think France and Germany are great. Brazil, I think, will be in the mix if Neymar can perform again. If Neymar can put the country on his back again, I could see him performing. I wonder how they'll be without the hometown support, though. That could be interesting. Is Spain too far out to call that an outside shot? Like, probably are, but it's not the Spanish juggernaut it was, 4 to 6 years ago when they were the kings of world football. The Dutch aren't what they used to be. The Italians, they don't think they've got enough up top. See, I don't want to say Belgium, because Belgium always disappoint every time we get to a major tournament. Belgium should perform, and it doesn't work out. And that's really irritating. It happens every fucking time with Belgium. They have so much. Yeah, completely agree, Miles. Yeah, like Argentina and Brazil is going to be carry jobs. Oh, yeah, Italy didn't even make the World Cup. Jeez. Quite right, Evan. My apologies. In before Russia dopes the whole thing and wins. Very true there, Joe. Very true. So, like, Belgium should be up there on firepower, but Belgium disappoint every time. Going Price beats Paul Hogan 10-9. Great game. I think every time after England go out, I'm supporting Japan. Let's go, Team Kagawa. My boy. I forgot there were, like, I forgot there were so many rights. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Belgium, there is so much hype with Belgium, and they never deliver. I mean, they have Lukaku, De Bruyne, Hazard, Mertens. Like, Mertens, by the way, is such a ridiculously good player. But doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's playing in Italy. But Mertens is a beast. Defensively, they've still got Vertonghen. Alderweireld is a fantastic player. Like, they have, like, Dembele as well. They have quality players all over the park. And despite that, like, they never deliver. It's like England in the 2006 era all over again. It's just they find a way to lose. I mean, I will never forget during the last, what was it, the Euros? Yeah, it was the Euros when Wales destroyed them. And Hal Robson-Kanu did the frigging Cruyff turn. I frigging wet myself on that, and that was hilarious. They got frigging Nainggolan in there as well. Nainggolan is such a ridiculously good midfielder as well. Belgium, on sheer attacking talent, have got a better nation than anyone on the planet. But they won't deliver because they never do with Belgium for some stupid reason. The Lord Fellaini. Let's have a look at the odds. Have a look real quick, just out of curiosity. Odds checker. Germany are the favourites, around 9-2 sort of range. Brazil are second favourites again, around 9-2, some as big as 5-1 in some places. France are next. Spain, there could be a good dark horse bet, 15-2, around 7-1, that sort of range. Argentina, about 9s. Then you got Belgium at 12-1. England are about 16s. Then you got Portugal, Uruguay, Croatia. Croatia wouldn't be a bad dark horse shout. 33-1. If you want some value there, I'd say go Croatia or go Colombia even at 33-1. They've performed well in the last World Cup. That Wales-Belgium game was awesome. Being in a holiday resort in Bulgaria with a room full of Belgians and just one Welshman who went mental with every goal. Oh, that's awesome, Joe. I would have paid to see that. That would have been awesome. England will have to attack. Yeah, they do, Miles. Like, we have Dele Alli. We have Harry Kane. We've got Marcus Rashford. We've got attacking talent. Throw the house at it. Mix it up a little bit. Because if we're going to sit back on our butts all day, we're not going to win. Defensively, we're shit. Like, our best two centre-backs that are probably going to be there for England is going to be Gary Cahill and Chris Smalling, who are equal brands of terrible. Like, Phil Jones is probably England's best centre-back at this point, and he probably won't get a look in. Oh, Nino will go apeshit if Colombia win. Oh, boy. Da-da-da-da. Just checking out my timeline real quick. Robert Lewandowski alone could make Poland worth a punt as well. Betway are offering 66-1 on Poland. So that's not a bad shout either. Lowest odds is Germany, 9-2. Germany are the 9-2 favourites across the board. Like, some are giving out 5s, but mostly 9-2 for Germany. Yeah, Joe Ellis, I'd be okay with that. Like, take Peter Crouch or take Andy Carroll. Guys that offer something a little bit different in attack. Like, that might be the way to go. Like, I was a big fan of Andy Carroll for England because, like, he was very good at keeping possession. Great in the air, great technical player, you know. Not the greatest goal scorer in the world, but, you know. Oh, he went the other way around, Nevin. 1 second. I'll tell you. Furthest out odds, Saudi Arabia and Panama are both 1,000-1. In fact, Bet Victor are offering Panama and Saudi Arabia at 1,500-1. That's quite funny. Just checking my phone. So England are definitely drawing 0-0 with Panama then. Yeah, probably. I think we'll call it a wrap in about 5-10 minutes, guys. I think we've done about an hour 45. That's a good stint. So, any last call for questions? Fire away, people. Hi, Josh. Nice to see you.
Evening, everyone. So, question one is from Dave for Eric. And that question is, Eric, how does it feel to bring home little dead animals for your mummies? Question two.
Well, I accidentally closed the stream. If Neymar misses World Cup, do you think Firmino is a good replacement? Yeah, I think he's a very good striker. Like, let's not forget, like, Brazil have had number 9 problems for ages. And I was saying, like, 2 or 3 years ago, like, give Firmino a chance. This is when he was back at Hoffenheim. I was saying, like, all these, like, Brazil are struggling with forwards since Diego Costa, like defected to Spain. Like, I've been saying for some time, like, to hell with it. Just, like, give Firmino a chance. And, if Neymar misses it, Firmino could be a decent striker for him. Not sure if he's good enough to carry a nation, but we'll have to wait and see. There wasn't Instagram stories there, to be fair. It's number 9 problems, but they had Fred. Exactly my point, Miles. Favorite motorsport bad boy. Don't really have one, to be honest. Will Salah be good? Don't see any reason why he wouldn't be. He dragged Egypt there in the first place. He's a fantastic player, though, so looking forward to that. But I heard that the GRC screwing over all the manufacturers and turning it into a spec series. Meh. I've heard a little bit about it, but I'm not a big rallycross guy, so I wouldn't be able to help you on that one. Let's have a look. I'm having a think. Just before I go, quick plugs and whatnot. If you want to follow me on Twitter and you're not already, at Harrison101HD, look forward to that. Motorsport 101, I think this will be the last 2-week hiatus. I am 99% sure there'll be 2 episodes this week upcoming. Big Formula E review from some Mexico, I should say, for their Formula E race tonight. There'll probably be as well talk of the IndyCar season preview as well. and Formula One testing news as well on that one. So we'll spread it out over those 2 shows over the course of next week. Bike Live will be back this weekend as well to talk about the MotoGP test in Qatar. So there is a good chance you'll be getting 3 podcasts next week. So look forward to that and whatnot. I don't know when the video making will be back. If Bex is back on more often, Joe, I don't mind talking more Speedway. But I'm not a Speedway guy, and I never will be a Speedway guy. Sorry. Like Lewis isn't a big Speedway guy either. That's a Bex thing, and she's not around. You know, it's one of those things, I suppose. But yeah, I'd have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, I'm probably going to head off now and take it easy. I'm back at work tomorrow morning, so that's going to be fun. But then I get 9 days off, so I can do some stuff. Yeah, that should be fun. Here's hoping. But yeah, I'm going to bid you adieu. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will catch you back here soon. Until next time, sayonara.